Hi everyone, it's Mark here from Newcastle Hypnotherapy, and today we're going to share with you 4 tips to help you to cope with your anxiety. These are exactly the same tips that we use with our clients that pay for our services, including NHS doctors, nurses, business professionals, business owners, and people from all sorts of walks of life. If you practice these techniques, these lovely 4 ways to cope and deal with anxiety, it'll help to take your anxiety way down. Now, my rule normally is that I help people to find anxiety freedom. Yes, I can help you to cope with it, but when we work with people privately one-to-one, the whole goal is to get you totally free from anxiety, not just to cope with it and deal with it, but to get rid of it for good. So if you fancy working with me privately, do drop me a message and we can set up a short-term strategy call where we can go through your problems, look at if it's suitable for you, and work from there. Okay, so first of all, the big question is, why is everybody getting anxiety and what is it? Because we know it's massively on the rise at the moment. Official figures are showing that now more than 1 in 4 are suffering with mental health problems, and anxiety is just becoming more and more common. Now, anxiety is a natural part of what we do. We have a built-in process called the fight or flight syndrome, and the idea is that when something like a big lion scares you out around the corner, you run away with lots of adrenaline and cortisol, and this helps us to get out of danger. However, today we don't live in that same situation, so it means that we pick up this anxiety, this fight or flight mode, from somewhere else. And this could be, first of all, that we pick it up from a traumatic event that's happened to us. It might be we repeatedly are given horrible tasks or a horrible time by family members, or it could be that we actually pattern it from other people. It doesn't really matter where it comes from in the way that we work to get rid of it, but it helps to know what those procedures are like, what exactly is going on, whereabouts you're feeling the anxiety, how it affects you, and it affects people in lots and lots of different ways. The goal is, though, that we can change that pattern. That is just a habit of the mind that you've got into and it's stuck, and we can work very easily to replace that with a new pattern and just to help you to feel relaxed, calm, and to actually choose how you want to feel. And that's what we do when people work with us privately one-to-one. So the 4 tips that we're going to share with you today to help you to cope with your anxiety is, first of all, scan your body and just be aware of when that anxiety starts to bubble away. Most people recognize it when it gets to a 7 or an 8, but the idea is you want to be scanning earlier on to know when you're feeling it very weak, very gently. And the idea is examine it. As soon as you're aware that you've got any sort of anxiety, stress, depression, worry, negative thought, you want to sort of examine it rather than just try and hide away or get tense about it. Just examine it. So ask yourself, if this anxiety had a place in your body, where would it be? And if it had a colour, what colour would it be? And just use the first ones that come to mind. Some people sort of freak out a bit when they ask those questions, but just the first ones that come to mind. And then you can ask, what colours has it got? What shape is it? What movement? Whereabouts is it? How does it affect you? What does it do to you? And when you start to examine it and just try and understand it a little bit more, it's as though you've moved a couple of steps to the left or the right and you're looking at it from a different angle. And then what you need to do is just play with it and say, what can I do to make this anxiety or stress higher, worse? And what can you do to calm it down? And just play with it a little bit, and then also ask, what message is this giving you? Anxiety is usually a symptom that there's either something outside causing a problem or there's something inside, sort of a habit, causing this. And it's just worth doing that and taking a moment to note it down, and this will feel how you feel about it. The second tip that you need to do to cope with your anxiety is to check your breathing. Now, most people, when they're anxious, they breathe in the top of the chest. That's very, very common. Tight, short little breaths which bring up your CO2 levels way too high and your oxygen far too low. So the first thing you want to do is just look at how you're breathing, count how many you're breathing in, how many you're breathing out, and then what you want to do is just slow down that breathing and make sure that you're breathing through the center. Imagine that you're breathing through the center of your chest and making sure that your stomach's moving in and out. So you need to breathe enough so that stomach's moving out, that you're using these stomach muscles, your diaphragm, to breathe in and out. And bring that breathing down to a nice slow pace, and that really helps to calm us down and makes us feel an awful lot better. So tip number 1 was we go through and we examine it. Tip number 2 is that we start to focus on our breathing, visualize that we're breathing in and out and moving that stomach in and out. And that's enough for most people to reduce those panic attacks, those anxiety attacks, and the anxiety way down. The third tip, once you've figured the first 2 out, is you want to look at how would you rather feel. So rather than focusing on the anxiety and all the stuff that's going wrong, how would you like to feel? Would you like to feel nice and relaxed? Would you maybe be on the beach on a lovely sunny day where it's lovely and warm? And then focus on all the things you can hear and see and feel. So focus on how you'd like to be instead, and it might be there's that mental picture of being on the beach or in the woods or on holiday, something like that. And just spend time thinking, okay, so if I was feeling relaxed, how would I feel? How would I feel on my neck and shoulders? What would my breathing be like? If I'm on that beach, how warm would the skin feel as the sun hits it? What about the wind? What sort of things will I hear? And just really explore that feeling and bring that up as often as you need to do so. And it's lovely when you do that. It's a great way of getting into a much better state. And you really need to practice and work on that to do that. When we work with clients one-to-one, it's quite easy because I do that for them and then give them that as an audio recording along with some self-hypnosis. It's a little bit more difficult on your own, but you can do it, and lots of people do that. So just think of something nice, how would you rather feel, and bring in those feelings. And then finally, a big one is change your physiology. If you're sitting in a chair and you're feeling anxious and you feel awful, get up and move. It's important to move. When you start to move, you change your emotions. So some people like to get out and go for a run or a good walk. They might go for a walk down the beach. They might just march on the spot. You know, you're doing the breathing exercises as well. But it's really important that you get up and you move. It might be you go and do the dishes, you clean something. Exercise is always good. Get on an exercise bike or get down the gym. But by getting that movement going, it changes your whole physiology and it pushes the anxiety away. So practice those 4 steps. The first one is examine it. The second one is look after your breathing. 3 is focus on how you'd rather feel. And 4, change your physiology by moving. And when you start working these 4 steps, this really helps you to cope with your anxiety and to make one hell of a difference. And you need to do it on a regular basis. As I always say, repetition is so important. The more you practice any skill, the easier it becomes. And it pushes the anxiety feelings away. It gets rid of the stress, the depression, the anxiety and panic attacks. And you'll feel so much better. So I hope those 4 little tips have helped. If you've got any questions, as forever, leave a comment below or get in touch and I'll answer the best that I can. And do remember, I do offer free phone consultations for people who'd like to work with me privately. Just means we'll have a good chat on the phone, see exactly how your anxiety is affecting you, and if need be, we'll set up that situation, we'll go through it all and show you what we can do to get rid of it. Usually for the clients I work with, 4 to 6 weeks and that anxiety, stress, depression is totally gone and they feel so much better. And yes, you've got to start somewhere and get in on it, but once you learn these simple tips and exercises and everything else that we do with it, it makes life so much better. Have a look at our YouTube channel. We've got lots more videos and little tips there. Have a look at my Facebook profile. There's also help on there and the website, and I'll see you all soon. Take care.